Welcome, everybody, to the 2018 Gold Derby TV Award nomination announcement. I'm Chris Beachum. I've got Marcus Dixon, Joyce Eng, and Daniel Montgomery here with me. We're going to announce category nominations in all 30 categories. And I've got to say right off the top of the bat, of course, we don't mind if they're Emmy nominees, but there's not one category out of the 30 that is the same as the Emmy Awards this year. There are obviously a lot of nominees similar, and then there's some where you really reached out and looked for other people. So we will start things off. Daniel's going to interject occasionally with some interesting statistics or other things, but this is our 15th year doing this. And believe me, the people out there, that when we send them their nomination announcement, and then over in September, the winners, they really know and they keep up with it. And so we'll do that today. We'll send out nomination announcements to all the people that you are about to hear their names. So Marcus, get us started.
All right, everyone. The first nominations are for Best Animated Program, and the nominees are Archer, Big Mouth, Bob's Burgers, BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, and The Simpsons.
A lot different there.
Yeah, big time. And now we're going to do Best Reality Host. The nominees are RuPaul for RuPaul's Drag Race, Ellen DeGeneres for Ellen's Game of Games, Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn for Project Runway, Jane Lynch for Hollywood Game Night, Jeff Probst for Survivor, and all 5 hosts for Queer Eye. And then
explain who you're voting for on that one.
That should be it's a secret. I'm not going to tell anyone. My last category here is Best Reality Competition Program, and the nominations are America's Got Talent, American Ninja Warrior, Project Runway, RuPaul's Drag Race, Survivor, and The Voice.
No Amazing Race for Best Reality Competition Program. It missed by 12 points. So we certainly don't have as much invested in that as the Emmys have had over the years. Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg just missed out in Reality Host by 9 points. If we had the 2% rules that the Emmys had, we would have a lot of 7 and 8 nominee categories, but we only nominate more than the allotted if there's an exact numerical tie.
And we don't have one of those this year.
How many people voted total?
Over 1,000. I'm not sure exactly what the number was.
Wow. So that
we don't have any ties creating a 7th slot or 6th, depending on the category. So don't be expecting overloaded categories this year.
Yeah. And there wasn't for animated. There's a pretty big separation between 6th and 7th. So that wasn't really that much up in the air. But Family Guy just missed out in 7th place. South Park in 8th. Adventure Time in 9th. It feels like a really good time for animated programs. It's not just the same 4 or 5 shows getting in every year. Okay, I've got the next 2 categories. The variety races. First off, I'll announce the nominees for Best Variety Talk Series. They are Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, The Late Late Show with James Corden, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So those match the Emmys, except for we nominated Seth Meyers over The Daily Show, which got in at the Emmys. And the nominees for Best Variety Sketch Series are At Home with Amy Sedaris, Drunk History, Nathan for You, Portlandia, Saturday Night Live, and Tracy Ullman's Show. So again, those are 5 out of the 6 Emmy nominees. We nominated Nathan for You instead of I Love You America with Sarah Silverman, which got the Emmy nomination in that category.
I have the next 2. We have our first acting categories for Movie Limited Series Supporting Actor. Jeff Daniels, Godless. Brandon Victor Dixon, Jesus Christ Superstar. Cody Fern, The Assassination of Gianni Versace. Edgar Ramirez, The Assassination of Gianni Versace. Jimmy Simpson, USS Callister, Black Mirror, and Finn Wittrock, The Assassination of Gianni Versace. And for movie limited supporting actress, we have Penelope Cruz, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Laura Dern, Twin Peaks, Nicole Kidman, Top of the Lake, China Girl, Judith Light, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Naomi Watts, Twin Peaks, Merritt Weaver, Godless. Lots of Versace, but no Ricky Martin.
Yeah, no Ricky Martin. Although I do think, I love that we nominated Fern and Wittrock,
Yes.
both of them, because that shows me
Cody was robbed at the Emmys.
Yeah, for me, the heart of the miniseries and the supporting races were Cody Fern and Finn Wittrock. So I'm really happy both those got in. Also really thrilled that Brandon Victor Dixon got in. Just missing supporting actor Jason Ritter and Michael Shannon were both 20 points out of a nomination. Jason Ritter for The Tale, Michael Shannon for Fahrenheit. And Billy Eichner for American Horror Story The Cult was also in our top 10. So and actually Ricky Martin was in 10th place. So he wasn't completely out of it. Let me check out those supporting women. Let's see anything interesting happened there. I can't call those up quickly enough. So let's
We got Laura Dern in.
yeah, we got Laura Dern and Naomi Watts. I'm thrilled for those two.
There are many, many people cheering that Laura Dern just got a nomination for Twin Peaks.
Well, they're about to be happy again in a moment, but we won't give that away. Well, let's move on to lead actor and actress. For movie limited series actor, Darren Criss for Versace, Benedict Cumberbatch for Patrick Melrose, Kyle MacLachlan for Twin Peaks, Evan Peters for American Horror Story Cult, Jesse Plemons for USS Callister, and Jimmy Tatro for American Vandal. Quite a bit of difference there on our six.
And yet we agree with the Emmys about no Al Pacino, of all things. He was actually 7th in that one.
And then for lead actress, Jessica Biel, The Sinner, Laura Dern, The Tale, Michelle Dockery for Godless, Kristen Milioti for USS Callister, Elizabeth Moss for Top of the Lake, China Girl, and Sarah Paulson for American Horror Story Cult.
One disappointment for me here is no Haley Atwell for Howard's End. She finished 8th. Actually, 7th place was Sarah Gadon for Alias Grace, or Gadon. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I apologize if I've mangled that. We didn't nominate Regina King or Edie Falco, who got in at the Emmys, but they were both in our top 10 in terms of our voting.
So happy Evan Peters got in. He so deserved that Emmy.
Well, he'll be excited. You can email him personally.
Yeah, I interview him every year for American Horror Story. Okay, so let's move to TV movie. The nominees are Fahrenheit 451, Flint, Paterno, The Tale, and USS Callister. And then the nominees for Best Limited Series: American Horror Story Cult, American Vandal, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Godless, and Twin Peaks.
Yeah, part of me wanted to make an executive decision to have 6 nominees per category in these races, because if we had 6 nominees for TV movie, Doctor Who would have gotten in. Doctor Who was 19 points out of 5th place, so my heart is slightly broken. But limited series wasn't close. The difference between 5th place and 6th place was pretty drastic. Looks like 70 or 80 points. The Sinner was in 6th. Patrick Melrose in 7th. Top of the Lake, China Girl in 8th. And again, my poor Howard's End down in 10th.
They just don't like stars, just like the Emmys.
Yeah, it's a crime. I'm gonna stop predicting stars in the future potentially. It just feels like,
Except at the Globes.
except at the Globes. The Globes love them. Oh my goodness. Golden Globe voters, vote for Howard's End. So I've got the next 2 categories. We're moving into the comedy series races, starting with Best Comedy Guest Actor. The nominees are Sterling K. Brown, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Donald Glover, Saturday Night Live. Bill Hader, Saturday Night Live. John Hamm, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And Cat Williams for Atlanta. So we've got 5 out of the 6 Emmy contenders. We nominated John Hamm instead of the second Curb Your Enthusiasm actor, Bryan Cranston, who got in at the Emmys. So for Best Comedy Guest Actress, the nominees are Tina Fey, Saturday Night Live. Tiffany Haddish, Saturday Night Live. Jane Lynch, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Saoirse Ronan, Saturday Night Live. Maya Rudolph, The Good Place. And Molly Shannon, Will and Grace. And it's also 5 out of the 6. We nominated, actually Saoirse Ronan got in over the last Emmy nominee, Wanda Sykes, for Blackish.
It's all the Lady Bird fan.
Yeah, just missing out on nominations. In 7th place was Lisa Kudrow for Grace and Frankie. She was only 6 points out of a nomination. Laurie Metcalf was less than 20 points out of a nomination for Big Bang Theory. And Wanda Sykes was actually also fairly close in 9th. And Lauren Graham in 10th. Actually, if we had like the 2% rule, we might have gone to like 9 or 10 nominees here, because those like between like 6th and 10th place are separated by barely 30 points.
Wow.
So
That's too much math for us.
yeah, I'm not doing that much math.
Up next, we have Comedy Supporting Actor. Titus Burgess, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Sean Hayes, Will and Grace. Brian Tyree Henry, Atlanta. Mark Maron, Glow. Lakeith Stanfield, Atlanta. And Henry Winkler, Barry. And in Comedy Supporting Actress, we have Alex Borstein, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Darcy Carden, The Good Place. Betty Gilpin, Glow. Kate McKinnon, Saturday Night Live. Laurie Metcalf, Roseanne. And Megan Mullally, Will and Grace.
Interestingly, Andre Brower just missed by 20 points on supporting actor for Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
If only it stayed canceled.
And Tony Shalhoub was also quite close. He was 25 points out of a nomination. And then there was a slightly bigger drop-off for Louis Anderson in 9th place. And then Comedy Supporting Actress, the only one that really disappointed me was Rita Moreno in 7th place. So close. She was like 23 points out of a nomination. So these all came down really to the wire, a lot of them.
I'm happy Darcy got in.
Yeah, me too. And Sean Hayes for Will and Grace.
Yeah, Will and Grace did better here than at the Emmys. Well, let's talk about the lead performers on comedy. Comedy actor nominees are Anthony Anderson for Blackish, Ted Danson for The Good Place, Donald Glover for Atlanta, Bill Hader for Barry, Eric McCormick for Will and Grace, and Andy Samberg for Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Whoa.
Yeah, that definitely a lot of love for that show after it was canceled and then not canceled. Came out for people came out in force for it.
They did.
So he was able to edge out Larry David. These 6 nominees edged out Larry David with who's 6 points out of a nomination. William H. Macy was just 27 points out of a nomination.
Just 27.
Well, when you think about like first place vote is 3 points from us. So 10 voters could have put William H. Macy into nomination position.
Well, comedy actress nominees are Pamela Adlon, Better Things, Kristen Bell, The Good Place, Alison Brie for Glow, Rachel Brosnahan for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Issa Rae for Insecure, and Tracy Ellis Ross for Blackish.
Ellie Kemper missed by 6 points.
Oh, Ellie.
And Rachel Bloom, who we've nominated before, she was out by 21 points. So those were fairly close.
Lots of Good Place love. I'm loving these nominations more than the Emmys. Okay, so let's do comedy episode of the year. The nominations are for Atlanta. They have 2. The first one is Barbershop. and the second one is Teddy Perkins. And then Barry is nominated for Chapter 8, Know the Truth. The Good Place is nominated for Dance Dance Resolution. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is nominated for The Pilot. And Will and Grace for Rosario's Quinceañera.
Yeah, Party Monster for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt missed by about 30 points. So this was a pretty locked-in top 6. Burrito also missed out by 30 points for The Good Place. So Good Place almost had 2 nominees here.
And then for Best Comedy Series, we have 7 nominations. The Emmys have 8, but only 6 of ours, if I'm doing the math right, 6 of ours are nominated at the Emmys. So we have a surprise one here. The nominees for Best Comedy Series are Atlanta, Barry, Glow, The Good Place, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Will and Grace. Actually, that's 2. The Good Place and Will and Grace are nominated with us and not at the Emmys. So I did my math wrong, of course.
Yeah, and the 2 Emmy nominees who the 2 other Emmy nominees were actually our 8th and 9th place finishers, Blackish in 8th and Curb Your Enthusiasm in 9th. And they weren't far out. Blackish missed by 21 points. Curb Your Enthusiasm missed by a little more, missed by 37. Now moving into the drama categories, starting with Best Drama Guest Actor. The nominees are Cameron Britton for Mindhunter, Matthew Good for The Crown, Ron Cephas Jones for This Is Us, Gerald McCraney for This Is Us, Peter Mullen for Westworld, and Jimmy Simpson for Westworld. So we've got 5 out of the 6 Emmy nominees, with Peter Mullen coming in instead of the last Emmy nominee, which was F. Murray Abraham for Homeland. Just missing out on nominations, Alan Alda was in 7th for The Good Fight. Michael C. Hall was 8th for The Crown. But there was kind of a significant drop off there. So these 6 were pretty locked in. Now, Drama Guest Actress. The nominees are Viola Davis, Scandal, Rinko Kikuchi for Westworld, Diana Rigg, Game of Thrones, Marissa Tomei for The Handmaid's Tale, Cicely Tyson, How to Get Away with Murder, and Samira Wiley for The Handmaid's Tale. So in this case, you've got a couple of differences. We brought in Rinko Kikuchi and Marissa Tomei. We didn't nominate
Kelly
Jenrette. Kelly Jenrette or Cherry Jones for The Handmaid's Tale. The one Laverne Cox was actually in 7th place, the closest to a nomination for Orange is the New Black. One that disappointed me a little bit. She finished a solid 8th place. Was Jodie Balfour, The Crown. I voted for her as to be nominated. I thought she was fantastic. And Cherry Jones is actually in 9th place. So we've had some good differences here with Drama Guest Actors compared to the Emmys.
Next, we have Drama Supporting Actor. Peter Dinklage, Game of Thrones. Noah Emmerich, The Americans. David Harbour, Stranger Things. Justin Hartley, This Is Us. Noah Schnapp, Stranger Things. And Matt Smith, The Crown. And in Drama Supporting Actress, we have Millie Bobby Brown, Stranger Things. Anne Dowd, The Handmaid's Tale. Lena Headey, Game of Thrones. Vanessa Kirby, The Crown. Tandy Newton, Westworld, and Yvonne Strahovski, The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, those Drama Supporting Actress nominees, those 6 were pretty miles ahead of 7th. 7th place drop-off was more than 140 points.
Wow.
So 7th place, you had Alexis Bledel, Handmaid's Tale. Unfortunately for Chrissy Metz, just like at the Emmys, she fell out a bit. She finished 8th. And Aubrey Plaza, who we actually nominated last year for Legion, this year she finished 9th.
Well, Chrissy's brother, Justin, got nominated. That's a cool nomination. I love Noah Schnapp. I love Noah Emmerich.
Yes, both Noahs got in.
Mm-hmm.
Supporting actor was a lot closer. Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who got in at the Emmys, actually, was just 13 points out of a nomination with us.
Let's talk about lead actors at Go ahead, Marcus. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I voted for Zone McLaren in my picks, but maybe next year.
I know a lot of people are
John
going
was
to be
actually an 8.
disappointed.
Oh, okay.
Very close. Drama actor nominees are Sterling K. Brown for This Is Us, Jonathan Groff for Mindhunter, Freddie Highmore, The Good Doctor, Matthew Rhys, The Americans, Milo Ventimiglia for This Is Us, Jeffrey Wright for Westworld. So a couple of different people there from the Emmys. And drama
Harrington
actor.
missed by 5 points.
Who did?
Kit Harrington
Oh,
missed by 5 points.
Our drama actress nominees are Jodie Comer for Killing Eve, Claire Foy for The Crown, Mandy Moore for This Is Us, Elizabeth Moss, The Handmaid's Tale, Sandra Oh for Killing Eve, and Kerry Russell for The Americans.
And poor Game of Thrones again. Amelia Clark just missed out by 16 points.
wow.
Where was Tatiana?
Tatiana, I feel like that was a bit out of sight, out of mind. She finished down in 12th. She used to be a Gold Derby favorite, but I think because that show aired last summer, its last season, it probably lost some of its buzz with us.
So both Killing Eve ladies make it in.
And Mandy.
Mandy too, yeah. Daniel, you're happy about Jonathan Groff, right?
I'm ecstatic about Jonathan Groff. I'm not too surprised though, because this is like the 3rd or 4th time we've nominated him. We nominated him for Looking the Movie. We nominated him for Comedy Actor for Looking when it was a series. He's or not. We nominated him twice for Looking. I can't remember if we nominated him for, but yeah, he's a Gold Derby favorite, and I'm very happy he's in there.
All right, so moving on to drama episode. We have The Americans for the series finale called Start. We have 2 Game of Thrones episodes, Beyond the Wall and The Spoils of War. The Handmaid's Tale for June. Stranger Things for Chapter 9, The Gate. That's the finale. And This Is Us for the big Super Bowl Sunday episode.
And this is one of the closest races because missing out on a nomination by 3 points. That's 1 ballot, potentially. I have a thing about bathrooms from Killing Eve. That finished in 7th place. And then there was a nearly 100-point drop off to 8th place. So you had Kiksuya from Westworld in 8th. And actually, surprisingly, it didn't do better. The Dragon and the Wolf for Game of Thrones, which is nominated for writing and directing at the Emmys. That finished in 9th place with us.
That is a surprise. Well, moving on to drama series, the nominations are The Americans, The Crown, Game of Thrones, The Handmaid's Tale, Killing Eve, Stranger Things, and This Is Us.
Westworld missed by 30 points.
That's more than I would have thought it missed by.
Things were kind of fluctuating over time. If we stopped voting somewhere in a different point, it might have gotten in.
Because it was airing when our readers were voting. So I thought maybe that would have helped it.
I mean, Evan didn't get it either, so.
Yeah, no Ed Harris. It didn't do as nearly as well with us as the Emmys.
But it still got in some people that didn't get into the Emmys, like a couple of extra guest acting nominees. Still got in Jeffrey Wright, even though he moved categories. So it's interesting that it did fairly well, but kind of missed in key places.
And no drama episode for Westworld either.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are down to our final 3 categories. I'll get us started with Breakthrough Performer of the Year. Now, these are for individuals who had an especially big career breakthrough this year. They could have been in multiple programs this year, so we don't specify one particular show. It's just for the performer in general. So the nominees for Breakthrough Performer of the Year are Ian Armitage, Cameron Britton, Cody, 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 Betty Gilpin, Tiffany Haddish, and Noah Schnapp So, most of those got in their respective categories for one or of their shows elsewhere. Actually, Ian Armitage is the only one here who is nominated for Breakthrough, but wasn't actually nominated for his show in Comedy Actor, Young Sheldon. It was actually a pretty lockdown top 6 here. Jimmy Tatro just missed out in 7th place. Julia Garner was in 8th. Yara Shahidi actually was in 9th. And Harris Dickinson, who broke out in Trust this year, rounded out our top 10.
It's a great 6. I don't know what I'm picking there. And it is awful. When we created that list of 30-something people, it's people that had a breakthrough year in television. Tiffany Haddish, I think, was nominated on our breakthrough film performer this past January as well. But she had a big year in both media, so that's why she was on both lists.
Yeah, that's happened before. I remember Carrie Coon had The Leftovers and Gone Girl in the same year, so we ended up nominating her for Breakthrough at both awards there.
Next, we have Ensemble of the Year, and this applies to all genres. The nominees are The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Game of Thrones, Glow, The Good Place, The Handmaid's Tale, and This Is Us.
And perhaps surprising, given that it has a relatively smaller cast, Atlanta actually came really close to a nomination. It was in 7th place. It was just 7 points out of a nomination. And again, Westworld came kind of close, but no cigar. It was 20 points out of a nomination. Twin Peaks was about 30 out of a nomination. So we had some close ones in there.
It's another good group across the spectrum there. Well, let's talk about Performer of the Year, our final category, and then we'll tell you how to vote. When we create this list of the long list of 30-something people, we're just looking for impact or a combination of quantity, quality. So I always typically vote for some of the variety late night performers because they do 200-something episodes a year. Personally, that's who none of those are on this list of 6. So none of the ones I voted for, I think, are on here. But either impact on the year, somebody everybody was talking about, or maybe a combination of quantity of performances over 2 or 3 things. So the 6 nominees for Performer of the Year are Darren Criss, Laura Dern, Claire Foy, Donald Glover, Bill Hader, and Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah, and the spread there for people who didn't get nominations was pretty close. There was Kerry Russell was in 7th place. She just missed out by 7 points. But really between 6th place and 10th place, it was only really 30 points. So, Kyle MacLachlan was fairly close in 8th place. Tiffany Haddish, actually, in 9th place. She could have gotten in for Breakthrough and Performer of the Year. And Sterling K. Brown in 10th place. Rachel Brosnahan in 11th was close too. So this was a fairly divided field in a good way, where a lot of people had significant support.
Do you have the totals of what shows got how many nominations?
I do. For the 2nd year in a row, This Is Us is actually the most nominated program of the year with 9, which is the exact same number it got last year. The Handmaid's Tale and The Assassination of Gianni Versace are tied with 8. And for Handmaid's Tale, that's a big deal. Last year it only got 3, so it's up more than double this year. And then you had a few shows with 7 nominations. Atlanta had 7. The Good Place had 7, which is up from just 1 last year. It only got Ted Danson in last year. Game of Thrones has 7. And I think SNL has 7.
Of course, we don't do like the tech categories like cinematography or editing or music, or Game of Thrones would have had probably 15 to 20 with us.
Yeah, if we did tech categories, shows like Game of Thrones and like Westworld still got 5, even though it wasn't in for drama series. They probably would have lapped This Is Us in like technical categories if we had.
This Is Us did better here than at the Emmys.
Yeah. It's a because it's such an actor driven show, and our awards have so many acting categories, that definitely helps it out. Last year it won the same awards it won at the Emmys, Best Drama Actor and Best Drama Guest Actor. It didn't win Best Drama Series from us last year, so but it's interesting that it really held on to the same number of nominations in year two.
Well, this full list is just now publishing on our homepage. You can go there and see everything in case you missed any of these or didn't jot them down fast enough. And the Prediction Center event I'm going to launch here within the next 5 minutes. You just go in and vote. You've got 30 categories. You can vote in all of them. You can vote in one of them, whatever you want to do. But it's not a ranking like it is on the nominations round or like you do for actual awards predictions events. You get one choice. It's going to make it really tough on you in some of these categories where you love 2 or 3 shows or 2 or 3 performers. So you get one choice, and we will announce winners over, I think, around midweek, right before Creative Arts Emmys. So you got plenty of time to vote, over a month to vote. You could go in now and vote, go back later and say, no, I want to change that. It's fine. You can always change. And we'll get these nominations out to all the industry people, and they'll be very excited to see where their shows and their performers fell today. So thanks, everybody, and get in there and vote right away.